going on?
Gonna be fine.
What's going on?
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Going On. My name is Dolores Vidal, and the first thing I'd like to do is wish you a very happy New Year. We have the pleasure of a series of programs with interesting people covering interesting subjects. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce Donata Barber, who is the director of the Belmont Special Education Advisory Council. And for those who are not sure what that is about, she is here to tell you. So, welcome to you.
Thank you.
Donata.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I look forward to informing the uninformed what the Belmont Special Education Advisory Council is all about.
So, tell us, how long has it been around? What's its purpose?
Well, it's been around a lot of years. I would say between maybe 15 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly. Its purpose is to advise and help families with children with special needs get the services they need and be available to find out about the different services in town and on the statewide. It's actually the Advisory Council is actually formed and mandated by Massachusetts law, Chapter 71B, which says every school district in Massachusetts must have a parent advisory council that specifically deals with special education and the issues that go along with special education.
So, is this then funded by the town, or is it?
It's actually not funded. Everybody involved, including myself as chair, volunteers their time. Yeah.
Well, that's really something. I mean, what about for materials that you might want to put together to dispense to people?
Yeah. Years ago, before all the schools and our organization had what we call listservs, a lot of the information needed to be dispersed through the mail. So we did a lot of mailings.
Uh-huh.
And we would raise some money, small amount of money, and it was there to fund the mailing. However, we don't do anything by mail anymore.
I see.
When we announce that we have a speaker coming or that we're getting together for a certain purpose, it goes out on our members listserv, which I moderate, and then the director of special education, Ken Kramer, he distributes it on all the school listservs. So anyone with a child in Belmont, whether they're in special ed or not, is aware of our speakers, our presentations. It's a great way to disperse information, as you can imagine. It's a tremendous time saving.
I bet.
And money saving. Yeah, right. And because the schools have all established over the last 4 or 5 years listservs for all of their students' families, it's a great way to get information out.
So how many volunteers do you have in your program?
Well, I'm the only person with an official title, which is chair. And I have a group of ladies who are very helpful, a group of moms, which we call them the steering committee. And there's 6 other folks that are very active right now, besides myself. The most demanding job is covering all the school committee meetings. So
How often do those take place?
Weekly, pretty much.
Weekly?
Just
Wow.
about weekly in town. Yeah, except for, holidays and stuff. But yeah, during the school year, the school committee meets just almost every Tuesday. So one of our members is always there, and they then distribute minutes. As a matter of fact, they have started in the Belmont Citizens Herald. They've started writing up their coverage of the meeting, and it gets put in the paper, which has been great. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, the new editor of the Belmont Citizens Herald is one of the women that's been on our steering committee for 3 years now, Joanna. So, yeah, it's good. It's a good group. Yep.
So, and then you meet with what frequency as a group?
You know, it's difficult. We don't meet frequently as a group. We communicate via email and phone calls to each other because we know what we want to accomplish every year as far as presentations, our award appreciation that we do every year. At the end of the year, we have appreciation awards. We have an evening where anybody, any parent or anyone can nominate a candidate to get an appreciation award. It could be a teacher, it could be an aide, it could be a bus driver, it could be a janitor, anyone who they feel has made a difference in their child's life. And we get together at the end of every year and give those people an award. It's lovely. So between the presentations and the awards and covering school committee meetings, we're all pretty busy. And most of us work full-time, like I do. So it's hard to get together as a group, on a regular basis.
Right.
But we seem to succeed in doing what we want to do without that.
Flexible women.
Thanks to the internet.
Are you all women, by the way?
We have a couple of dads who are helpful at times, but yeah, mostly it's the moms right now.
So what population are you exactly serving? I mean, special needs may not be a term that everybody knows what it comprises. So could you just tell us what is
In other
meant?
words, yeah, the Belmont school system, as all the other school systems in the town, have under law to serve children with special needs so that everybody has an opportunity to be educated. And that population of kids getting services obviously varies year to year. It can be a child who has a reading problem. It could be a child who's visually impaired. It could be a child who has hearing impairment. And they need 1 or 2 hours of service a week, all the way up to services where children go out of district to private schools that Belmont pays for them to attend because we don't within that we don't have that right and couldn't. It would be too the services they need are too comprehensive for a public school system to provide. So special needs.
Does it include autism, for example?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So it must be filled with special needs because it's a rather common diagnosis these days.
Yeah, I guess it is, yeah. So yeah, we have children with autism, children with Asperger's, children with basic learning disabilities, children with physical impairment, children with emotional issues, social issues, all. If they have any difficulty learning in what is called a regular classroom, I don't know what a regular classroom is anymore, but a regular classroom, and they need something outside of that in order to benefit 100% from their education, and to get the services of special education, a child needs to be evaluated and by a team of people, and then it's the team's decision at the end to provide the services. And those services are provided on a contract, basically, with the family. It's called an individual education plan. You'll hear people refer to their child having an IEP, which basically means they're getting services under an individual educational plan.
The state oversees that in terms of dispersing monies to the different towns for the how does it work?
Yeah, it's a complicated formula, Dolores. It really is. We recently had a meeting where the public was invited to speak with the two administrators, Ken Kramer and Mary Jane Weinstein, as well as our new interim superintendent of schools. Dr. Tom Kingston was there, and questions came up like that. How much reimbursement? So there is a formula that districts are given a certain amount of money from the state as well as out of their main fund. So it's very complicated. I was enthralled to hear Dr. Kingston talk about it because the formulas were mind-blowing to me, but
My goodness.
yeah. But I think that, what I'd love to chat with you about is the kind of things that we at the BSEAC do rather than what the Belmont school system does for special ed. Because we serve a unique role, I think, in that we try to be there for not only the school administration, the school committee, helping them understand problems that are brought to us to bring to them so they can solve them, as well as being there for families that, let me give you an example. Somebody moves into town, their child's been receiving services in another town. Those are the phone calls I get. Oh, we're moving to Belmont. We've been in California. My husband's been transferred. We're moving to Belmont. My child is on an individual educational plan, an IEP, and I don't know nothing about your district. Where do I start? How do I register my child? How do they get the programs? And
So
an
you
IEP,
kind of orient them to
Yes.
the system.
so we help in that way. And then there's a parent who realizes that for the first time that their child might be needing of services. They might be a third grader, a fourth grader in a regular classroom. Often I will get calls from them saying, what do I do? And I redirect them. You need to speak to your principal, who then speaks to the liaison for the special needs for that school. We have 4 elementary schools, as you know, and so we have liaisons in every school, and then we direct people on how to go
Navigate.
about it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I think what the way we serve the best is that we offer a couple of resources that are very valuable to parents. For example, we have a resource library of up-to-date current books on all the different aspects of special needs.
These are actual books.
Yes, we
This is
actually
the-
have a library.
Where is
it's
that?
housed in the teacher's dining room, resource room at the Chenery Middle School. And the books are available to the teachers who want to learn more about different children that come into their classroom that year that have a certain diagnosis. It's available to parents. And so that's one thing. We also try to have 5 or 6 speakers throughout the year that are talking about sort of new things that are happening in special education. As you know, in science, everything is always evolving, research is being done, and new books are being published. Let's take, for example, I don't think 10 years ago anyone ever really realized what executive functioning skills are. So now there's a whole, I don't know how I would say, well, there's a whole body of information now about executive functioning skills. And a lot of children with special needs lack organizational skills, lack the ability to get themselves through a day without assistance on organization. Of course, I do the same. I'd love to have a assistant organizing my day, wouldn't you, Doris?
Yes.
But executive functioning skills are now taught. So if a child lacks certain skills, and it's obvious because they're unable to get their homework assignments done on time or be at the right place at the right time, especially when you transition from elementary to middle school and then middle school to high school, you become more and more independent. You don't have one teacher anymore, you now have 5 or 6 teachers. And very often kids have difficulty following schedules, staying on top of the assignments from each different teacher. So there's lots of books now about executive functioning. So that's what we do. We have presentations, and that's just an example of the type of things that we present. We have a couple of presentations coming up, one next week, which is going to be held on Wednesday night at the new Wellington School, which would be nice, a first time being able to use the facilities there. There's a community room now at the Wellington School, and next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock we have a presentation by a local psychotherapist named Dr. Jolie Ross, and she's going to be speaking about treating children with all types of disabilities without using drugs. You know, a lot of children take drugs and very helpful. But there's a lot of research being done now, and she's one of the leading people in research. It's called brain mapping, so it could be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's next week.
That's next week. And then in February, I believe it's February 15th, we're doing a presentation combined with Waltham Special Ed, their PAC. It's going to be held here, though, in Belmont, and it's called Basic Rights, because under Chapter 71B, their children's rights, with children who have special needs, their rights and how they should be tested and reevaluated every 3 years, and the type of services they should be allowed to get from the town, is long and complicated. So it needs to be explained to parents on a regular basis, especially parents with kids in elementary school who are sort of new to the idea of needing help for their children. So one of the people from the Federation for Children with Special Needs will be giving the presentation, and that will also be, I believe it's Wednesday night the 15th, I think. I got to double check. And that we will send out information on that probably by the end of next week.
So that's very interesting, and it's nice to know that there are these activities going on for those who are interested in going to listen. I was going to ask you, how are you different from the Federation for Children with Special Needs?
Well, the Federation is a state organization, and they have an office in Boston, and they're tied into the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Whereas the BSAC is strictly for Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's great that the Federation put into existence maybe 3 years ago is called Mass PAC. So they formed all of the different PACs, which the BAC is one of them, can come together through a listserv and ask questions. I probably get 10 or 12, if not more, emails a day from Mass PAC with different chairs and directors in all the different districts with a question. They want to know, okay, what is this? Have you come across this problem in your town, and how is it resolved? Mm-hmm. I had a parent just recently who was looking for a neuropsych evaluation for their child, and they needed to get a certain neuropsych who fell under their insurance. Okay, so of course, if I just put that out on the Mass PAC listserv, and within, I don't know, an hour, we had 10 different chair people from across the state get back to us with great information.
That's wonderful.
It is. It's really good because it's a big world out there.
You bet.
And there's a lot of people who have tremendous resources to help out. So that's one of the ways that we pay a dues to the Federation every year, and that allows us to be part of the Mass PAC.
You pay dues out of your pocket?
No, the town of Belmont, through the special ed department, pays annual dues to a Mass PAC, so that we can participate with them.
All right. Okay. Now, there are a lot of grandparents knocking around, wondering what to do, and I'm wondering what role they might have in their children's children.
Well, haven't recently become a grandparent a year ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Besides taking them for a walk in the fresh air every day around town, mm-hmm. and frequenting the local small businesses, right?
Yes.
I think it's a great question, Dolores. I think that, parents, especially in families where both parents are working.
Exactly.
Giving quality time to kids, reading books to them, finding the time to just be one-on-one with them. Frees the parent up, if you can get over in the evening and read a good book to them. A lot of kids these days watch a lot of television and use...
Or do this a lot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Play games on the internet. I think it's really nice one-on-one get some interaction. Take them to museums. Oh, we are so lucky in this part of Massachusetts to have the Children's Museum, the Science Museum. Get them out on Saturdays. Take them to museums. Get them reading.
I was wondering if you had anything in part of the program that you have to attract grandparents to help kids with special needs.
We don't, but it's a great idea. I should throw it out to the steering committee.
Or how about, even if they're not grandparents, how about if they're older people who live in town who might be willing to help in some fashion but don't know how.
Don't know how to help. Yeah. I think it's great. I mean, I can certainly direct people if they want to help work directly with students. If they gave me a call, there's so many programs going on in town and after school educational programs. One thing that comes to mind is a wonderful woman I met 4 or 5 years ago when I was on the advisory council at the Chenery Middle School, Phil Solomon, who you probably all know.
Yes, of course.
Of course. She has for years run a very wonderful program in the courtyard at the Chenery Middle School, and she is like oversees the planting of plants and decorating the courtyard, and she has many students that help her after school, weeding, planting, beautifying. It's really a beautiful program. That sort of thing. And you know, all students, whether they have special needs or not, can
Right.
participate in that. So if there are people who are listening today and want to get involved in some way with a student and make a difference in a student's life, call me. I will direct them on to this type of thing.
Well, that brings me to ask you, Donata, how do people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, all right. I don't suggest you call me at my office because I'm pretty busy when I'm there. But I think I gave my cell phone. Call my cell phone. I'm answer it. Being a realtor, you answer your cell phone. Basically, if you're awake, 24/7, you answer your cell phone. There's no time. If it's a bad time for me to take a call, I won't answer. Leave a message and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I'd love to help out that way. That would be great. Be a great way to get people involved.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm so glad you were able to come and be with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was I've been wanting to get down to the Belmont Media Center for a while now and see what it was all about, and this was a great introduction to it.
Good. Come back.
Oh, I'd love to.
All
That'd
right.
be great. Thank you.
And so, until next week, wish you a good and warm week, such as we have had and enjoyed, so that you don't have to bring out your shovels yet. Nice to be back. Happy New Year once again.